I call to order the Traffic Safety Bikeways Pedestrians Committee for Thursday, May 19th. The second thing is approval of minutes for April. Have you had a chance to read them, and can I have a motion?
Maybe before a motion, Debbie, there's one word that needs to be changed. Right there in where it talks about light rail, it should be commuter rail. It's only one word, but it's two different things. So.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Is it on the last page?
Yeah, it's the very last thing in the minutes. Where I was talking about extending rail back down to Keizer.
There you go, okay.
Should be commuter rail.
Okay, got it.
Thanks.
Okay.
With that, I'd move to accept them.
Thank you, Greg. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Awesome. Thank you. Next on the list is appearance of...
Wait a minute, you got to vote. Who seconded? Mike?
I'm sorry, Michael, I always miss this part. They said yes. Does the committee agree? Yes. Can I, all in favor of passing the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That was unanimous. Next, we have appearance of interested citizens. I didn't have any notes, but did anybody want to come up and talk? Would you like to come up?
Good evening,
Hello.
Chair Davis, members of the committee and staff. My name's Rhonda Rich. I'm president of the West Keizer Neighborhood Association. And we're just here kind of to continue on with our follow-up of the speed table and the stop sign that we requested. And I don't know if you've had a chance, you know, if you've been in contact with Bill Lawyer. I haven't heard any more. I think you have in your packet that I did submit a memo to him that we were requesting this. And so he said they were going to be putting some, not the reader boards where they're displays, but just some kind of sensor that indicates how
monitor
fast people are going so they don't see the sign and go, oh yeah, I need to slow down. So, but I just wanted to say too that we have a board of 7 members, and I've been coming with Carolyn Holman, she's secretary, and she can come tonight, but she's not here. But she wants to be really involved. And Rob Witters, who will come up after I talk, he's on the board. And when at the last board meeting, I said, oh gosh, we got to go through this traffic management plan. And it's like, you know, I need help. And so Rob stepped up and said he'd be glad to help. And he's been actually involved with West Salem Neighborhood Association in the past. He's moved over here. And also have Chris Adams here. She's a board member. So there's 4 out of 7 of us, I'm saying, on the, you know, who come to these meetings, and we're probably going to rotate. So we won't have all 4 of us at all the meetings, but it is a big enough issue that we do, you know, have a lot of interested board members. And so we are, you know, I know you mentioned about possibly going through this traffic management neighborhood management plan and revising that. And if we can help out in any way and kind of giving some input as to, you know, how a neighborhood might be able to help out with this and make it work, because I'm not still quite sure, and I don't know if you guys know, or Bill, since this is the first time it's being gone through, just what is going to be needed at each step. How do we score things? How do we prioritize? So
Yes.
So we're here to help. And so
did you see the response from Bill that he did acknowledge that that we're going to get some type of monitoring going in that area for you?
right. And I think he told me that he was going to do shoreline first.
Mike, do you have any knowledge of it?
So Rhonda, I can speak on that real quick. Sergeant Leday did put out traffic volume and speed on shoreline there at Dearborn, and we just received that information today from Sergeant Leday. We have not had time to review that, but we will be reviewing it, and the next study will be done on Cummings. So we're going to group those. They were going to group those together. So we are moving forward. So one of the studies is done, and like I said, we haven't had a chance to review it, but we'll be looking at that, and then it'll switch right over to Cummings, and we'll see what we have there.
Okay.
So-
I saw in Dearborn, before you get to Delight, going west towards Delight, there was a board out there. Do you know anything about that, that showed the speed that people were going?
No, that's complaint driven through our police
Oh.
department, and people can either go online and request their neighborhood, and then they get on a list.
Oh,
And it
okay.
moves around all around Keizer. There's one, also another one on Manzanita, I think. So
Okay.
it's people generated and a request to the police department.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't see if Bill said this or if he told you, or Mike, maybe you can answer. Is this speed study something that's required for the process that the neighborhood association wants to do?
In regards to the stop sign, this is to gather information for council support before a stop sign is put up on Shoreline at Dearborn.
Okay.
And that will also follow suit. It'll curtail, with Cummings as well. Two different procedures, two different type devices, but just taking that information, reviewing it, and helping things move forward.
So I feel right now that we know that the TSP isn't going to be reviewed next year. It was not put into the budget. So there's still things that happen depending on prioritization of those. So these studies actually are the step in the next direction for us to get at least on the priority list. I don't know what that priority list is, and I'd probably want to visit with Mike and Bill and see if they maybe have a short list for us to review. And when the time comes, so hopefully, I think Rick, you said was your name? Was it Rick? That you would be on
Rob.
the Bob, I'm sorry about
Rob.
that. Rob, thank
Yeah.
you.
Uh-huh.
That you would be on that committee. On that, when we decide to start looking at more detail and in-depth, and we definitely enjoy that. I think the other thing is we'd ask probably for surveys. That's where I think as a community, not just one association, but as a community, we need to have a robust survey that we can send out. So we're knowing not just of one area that needs attention, but all, and that the city can see our prioritization and with the data that we're coming. So between police data and then neighborhood association data, I think that will help us prioritize what we should be looking at and at least have a short list since we are on hold with the TSP right now. Okay.
Yeah, I went to the budget committee, I watched the budget committee meeting.
I did too.
And it was mentioned about the flashing light on Chamawa, and I think Counselor Reed also asked Bill Lawyer if, she knows that she's our liaison, and so is Counselor Smith. But she wondered if it's a possibility, if these are approved, you say, okay, yes, we do need a stop sign there, whether that could be in the budget. And he said that he could possibly find money, so
Yeah.
I don't think I'm overstepping bounds, but.
No.
But it may not be that we have to, if it's, deemed needed, then we wouldn't have to wait another 2 or 3 years just to get a stop sign, so.
Yeah, I agree. So I do
So
think.
that was encouraging to hear.
I think, continue to come and advocate for the areas that you're seeing. If you're talking to Bill, and I can now start to ask for what's our next steps as far as these smaller items? Can you fit them into your hopefully miscellaneous budget that we didn't know about? He's can pull a rabbit out of his
Yeah.
hat. So hopefully maybe we can get a little prioritization with that item for you.
Okay. I have a quick question. The neighborhood traffic management plan is for neighborhoods. So if somebody comes in as a citizen, say what happened with the flashing light across Chamawa for those people to get across, and there's a crosswalk there, and to put a flashing light to get across the street safely. Is that just a decision that you make on your own as a committee, that there's no studies? Because I thought, well, maybe I should have just come in myself.
I don't think it's.
But, there's got to be I guess, a difference if a citizen
Yes.
comes in and sees something, they don't have a neighborhood association to represent them. Just if you're going through this plan, it just seems like you might want to think about something like
I
that too.
think the way they're looking at it is the library is for the community. So that would be something that's a prioritization for all to use.
Okay.
And I do think that probably Bill Lawyer needs to kind of prioritize those things.
Uh-huh.
So that to us was a high priority, being
Okay.
that we agree when the roundabout went in, the traffic has increased down Chamawa. So I think having this flashing light will secure the safety of the pedestrians.
It wasn't just the library either, it's this splash fountain and the skate park too. There's a lot of pedestrian traffic going to both.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, I'm totally for it. I just wondered the process, you know.
Go ahead.
And Mike, I don't know if you know this, but is it because a residential street versus something that's not residential street?
More so that process was put together, so there aren't speed bumps all over town. Just, it's the process is put together to really spend some hard time evaluating it and see if it's really need in certain situations. And I know it's difficult and it's kind of frustrating, and it is the first time we've all gone through it, so we're working through it, I guess. So
Yeah.
if you were a private citizen and didn't have the neighborhood association, it would be up to that person, if you follow that plan, to go door to door and get 70% of the homes facing that street.
Right.
They're, hey, I'm for this, I'm on, this sounds like a good idea. And then you'd follow through with step 2, which is police enforcement, and then education, and then step 3, and it goes on from there, so.
Right,
Um,
okay. Well, it seems like it would make most sense, like on Chamawa or River Road or Lock Haven, you have some issues with, that you need to address as safety issues, especially crosswalks, so.
And I do believe that the neighborhood association, that having those signatures might even help in bringing that to your next board or meeting and getting a list going for that, because that's the one thing I believe we're missing from your neighborhood association with the talks with Bill, is if we're really talking about that table going in, how many people in your community are wanting it? Do we have a petition with 70 people or 70%? To be signed, and I think those two, so we have your board minutes, so we clearly have recognized the issue, but I think to get it up higher on the priority list would be to get that petition signed, and that would help move things probably a little bit better, because we have to still go by the rules that were set back in 2009 until we can get or amend them and ask for the resolution to the city council. That sound right? Okay. You want to go ahead, Mike?
Well, I just want to say, the last time our meeting, I had said that maybe we should be working on some type of user's manual or, how-to
Yeah.
guide. Would it be okay with everyone if I sat down with the neighborhood association members who are going through this process so I can see what kind of hurdles they're dealing with, and then that would help in the future?
I think if anything we can get to start to gather details will help us further along when we're ready to propose and agree on a resolution to ask the council to pass. So if you'd like to start that over the next couple of months, Michael, I'd appreciate that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
with
as
your
far-
agreeing of me coming and sitting in with you?
Sure, I'll let you know when, I'd like to talk at our next board meeting about having forming a committee that you and anybody else who's on this committee could sit down with us and kind of throw things around. I don't think, some of us aren't that more into parks or something else, so. Yeah, as far as that survey goes, I saw that too, and I would like to hold off on that until I hear from the city that that's necessary, because that takes going door to door, and we just don't feel comfortable and, saying, oh, we're proposing a speed table and there's, so.
Well, that's
Yeah.
understandable, but you probably do need to inform the people. They should have some say along that street, so I mean, and I understand what you're saying around about not going door to door, but there should be, we'll work through it and
We essentially did go door to door with the hangers, and letting people know that we had our January, February meeting where they could come give input, but nothing that was specific to that street, so.
Well,
We're kind of hoping that, we've talked about widening that street and the right-of-way issues and making it safer and putting sidewalks, and that seems to be such a big project that's probably 5 or 10 years down the road, that we're kind of approaching it like maybe we can get something that's smaller, not as, it's cost-effective to put in there. So we'll go through the process and.
Well, and
get
I'd like to suggest that maybe you have the petition sitting out at your meeting so that anybody that hasn't signed, you can just kind of direct them, hey, if you're interested in joining this petition, you might be able to get a good percentage of already what you need.
Mhm. I don't know if it's a percentage on the street that we're talking about.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, because I think everybody who comes to the meetings, we might have one person who lives on Cummings, so, yeah, if it has to be street-specific, then we would have to.
How could you
Yeah,
find
so
that
we'll-
out? Can anybody help me out there?
From what
Well,
I've
Mike could-
heard, it was street-specific, like if that's where the project is supposed to be, you're supposed to have, 75% of the people on that street who sign and support.
All right, but we need to get the data first, and then that'll help,
Right.
to say,
I
yeah.
think so, yeah.
Yeah,
I think we got a couple of good items that we can take over the next 30 days, and when we meet back, report back to what we're doing on those and see what our next step is, because I just feel like we're kind of we're building our case.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rob, would you like to say anything else? I'm going to let Rob come up and
All right.
introduce himself, just so you know who he is.
Good evening, my name's Rob Witters, resident, West Keizer Neighborhood Association board member. I didn't actually plan on saying anything tonight, so excuse me, but I just wanted to, I guess this is a good opportunity to hopefully introduce myself and kind of echo everything that Rhonda was saying, that, I'm hopeful that I, with her and the other members, we can work with you to try and get these changes in the neighborhood. We do, as you probably know, this all originated with some, our past president started it, but some concerns in the neighborhood of people, we have a lot of long, straight, or fairly straight streets that speed seems to pick up as people go further down. And then the table we're talking about is over by the Cummings Elementary, and we just want to, just try and, if people won't slow down on their own, hopefully this will kind of help them make that decision to do so. So anyways, whatever we can do to help move this along, we'd be happy to do so. We'll be here to, if you have thoughts or ideas that you think would help push this to the top of the list, we'd love to hear them and work with you to make that happen. And we'll also, advocate as well on our end to try and get it to the top of the list. So, but that's really all I have to say for that, so.
I appreciate you coming up and chatting with us. I do think that especially with the speed table, that's something that Chief Teague had talked about. So I do think we have a lot of momentum in that area, and could hopefully have council and Bill Lawyer really look at that once he gets that data back, and maybe tell us where in prioritization that could be. And we're unclear on that as well too, so hopefully we can get more information for the whole city.
Yeah, and that's, speaking of Chief Teague, that's kind of where we coalesced on exactly what we wanted, because we were having the discussion. We did send out, I think it was for the January meeting, an invitation to all the neighbors to come and share what they wanted, and then we presented those thoughts and concerns to Chief Teague, and that's where he kind of was mentioning these two things were what he noticed or they noticed were big areas. So anyways, that's where how we settled on those as being the top priorities, so.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to come up and speak? We'll go to the next, which is the chair report, and this was on the LED speed signs, speed table, stop signs, all of that good stuff. This is mainly a meeting that I have been holding off, so it's been 2 months since I've actually tried to make any attempts, mainly because I wanted to see what the budget was going to do. I think we're in a good pocket to be able to sit down with Bill Lawyer and chat with him of what he sees the next year looks like and what he plans to do with his budget. Let's see. Another area, so that's kind of all encompassed in that little details that we're listing here. So I'm hoping that in the next 30 days, in the next meeting, I will have this meeting now that the budget, it's been passed? Is it been passed? No, it goes to the June 6th, but the budget committee passed it. Okay, all right, thank you. So the other thing I wanted to bring up at this time was Debbie had emailed the committee the SCATS board meeting that's coming up on May 24th. And we're really kind of involved with them because of the school areas. Unfortunately, Hirsch isn't here because he really is involved with this. And I asked Mayor Clark if she would start forwarding us the agendas for us to review. I think what I'm looking for here is us to kind of just absorb the data, make any comments that we may be able to pass on to them. I don't expect us to, by their next meeting for anything to happen, but I wanted to make the committee aware that these emails are coming because I want us to see what they're talking about. And if you read in there, they're starting to talk about guidelines of what requirements to apply for these grants are. And that is big for us to help direct council and staff on the next steps of what to do. So I did read over it. I don't have any comment, but I'm going to ask that the committee start reading those when they come from Debbie. Okay? Mm-hmm. All right. From there, I'm going to go ahead and move on unless there's any questions. Go ahead, Michael.
This is a suggestion, and you don't have to take it, but should we have someone whose role it is to review those and summarize them for everyone? I mean, you can certainly read them if you want, but that way, if you haven't been able to, at least.
Well, you've really been helping out a lot with the neighborhood association part, and you've kind of dibble-dabbled with the SCATs as well, too. Yeah. But Hirsch, I feel, really has his hands involved in that. And I mean, he has his hands in a lot of stuff, so. So he's just very experienced. If anybody wants to tag on, Rick, if you wanted to, or maybe Tammy, if you wanted to kind of start absorbing what he's doing, that would really help us to keep the momentum going and having more than one person understanding what, because it takes a lot. You have to have the principals involved. There's a lot of stuff that goes on if we're going to help with walkways and bikeways around schools. So the more eyes on it, the better. Thank you. So Hirsch couldn't, I'm going to move on to number 5, which is Bike Skills Fair report. And Hirsch couldn't be here tonight. And yeah, so he wrote us a little ditty for the evening, and he just let us know. I wasn't in attendance, and Tammy was in attendance on Saturday for the Bike Skills Fair event. Of course, it was a little rainy, so we only saw about 6 kids, but it was awesome. I'm glad I got to attend for the first time. Just his daughter is the one that she's a teacher. She's the one that teaches these kids, and she's just amazing with them. So maybe Hirsch will watch this video and he'll hear how awesome those events were. And I would like to see those pushed out. He wants to see them at the neighborhood associations. If we can talk to the chamber for Keizer Fest, maybe we can have a booth there for 2 hours on the weekend mornings or something, or I'm pretty sure Hirsch knows a little bit more about that, but definitely more involvement with that and getting the kids educated is awesome. Go ahead, Michael.
I was going to add that Hirsch also said that McCrae did it at, I think it might have been at Harriet.
At Harriet, okay.
And they're trying to do it as part of their PE time. So just doing it at different schools. That way, you have a more captive audience.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and move on, if that's okay, committee, to number 6, which is our budget committee report, which Church was on that committee. So I'm going to read what he has on here. Is for the next fiscal year, Public Works will be funding the crosswalks that were recommended by the committee. First one being the Chamal Road by the library. Some ARPA money was set aside for limited sidewalk lighting projects. From planning, I confirmed that updating on the TSP will be delayed by the state, so they can develop policies and procedures because of changes made by the legislator in housing and equity issues that the city will need to follow, which will impact the transportation. Not sure where this might get to the TSP update, but it does not look like it'll be for this year. And we've kind of all recognized that. And I think there's still a short list that we could probably find out from Bill Lawyer of what they anticipate, and maybe hopefully finagle a couple more projects into that. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I just have one note on the ARPA funds you were talking about, and the report on that. Actually, no ARPA funds were set aside. There was discussion about possible uses of the ARPA funds, but no commitment or specific projects were identified.
Oh, okay.
So I just wanted to clarify that. I spoke with Bill a couple hours ago, and
Okay.
this had come in late, and he said, hey, we got a couple things to talk about real quick, just to clarify as we were discussing this. And then also for the rapid flashing beacon, that is for funds for next year.
Okay.
And that's no issue with that. We actually just sent that over to AKS, which are our engineering, to begin the design work and initiate that and get that moving forward. So that's really good news. There was no other funding identified for any other projects. So
Okay.
the rapid flashing beacon, definitely.
Okay.
And then
And where was that going? I'm sorry.
right here on Shamawa at the library,
The library one.
at the
Okay,
existing
thank you.
crosswalk.
I have 5 other places. Oh.
Well,
Okay.
I'm gonna put a 0 after that 5.
Right. Talk to the finance director, maybe you could put a 0 next to the end. Let's see, so moving forward, unless there's any questions? Okay, great. Review of committee purpose. So I did actually take a stab at this, and looking at our committee purpose, I feel right now the details from 1 through 10 are what we are supposed to be doing. I think it's the next step for us is the prioritization, because there's kind of a phantom list out there. We've had some details that we wrote down probably a year and a half, 2 years ago, that is separate from the TSP. Some of it intertwines with the TSP, but there is like another area of items that we wanted to address. And I think what we need to do is write this up clearly to council with all of the items that are separate of the TSP, so that they're understanding that there are more items that are going on the list. I just don't know how much movement we're going to get, because I'm hearing the budget is not there. So at least if we can get something in front of council and Bill Lawyer to see, and at least try to work into assessing if a next step should be taken. I'm pretty sure council could find some money, maybe. All right. I hope. There was one thing, Debbie, that I wanted to ask you. Below the purpose, there is a part that's not printed on the sheets you received that says membership. And there's a couple of areas here. Is at least 3 of the voting members shall be bicycle enthusiasts, and we only have 2.
I believe, which resolution were you looking at?
So when I went on the website, I just,
I need to change that. I'm
okay.
finding stuff that I have missed on the website lately, but let me find the resolution. Here it is right here. And I think, well, no, who all are you saying is,
it would just be Michael and Hirsch.
no, David Dempster also is.
He is, okay. You might need to put a star next to his name.
I will, that
Okay.
that needs to be, that's on
Okay.
on the website?
Yeah.
Okay, I
yeah.
will fix that, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And then there's, just reading more into this, it says, there's a representative from the Marion County Fire District and the Keizer Fire District as non-voting ex officio members.
And they are invited, they just don't ever come.
What are their names?
They just go generally to their.
If you can email me names, I'll become their best friend.
Okay, I will see what I can find.
See what you
They
can
just go
find.
generally to their mailbox.
I just have never seen them in the 2 years I've been here, so.
It's been even longer than that, Mike, hasn't it? I
I've
mean,
never seen
They're
them.
not voting, and unless there's some issue that they are strongly opposed to, they, I guess, don't feel like it's worth their time, because
Well-
they are non-voting.
Okay.
And they read the minutes, they do, follow up on the minutes.
Well, I might have to do like the neighborhood association. Can I bring in cookies for them? I think that might work. Yeah, anything you can get, at least I would just like to introduce myself and maybe I can take them for coffee and see if they can give me any details and perspective of any areas for us too. It's just best to have as many people involved as we can. That was all I had in the membership part of it. And again, I've read over these 10 items for our purpose probably about 3 times now, and I cannot write anything to change. So this is what we're going by, and I think now it's just kind of doing the legwork of prioritizing and having council and staff in line with what we see.
Chair Davis, I'll just say, I think we should consider refining or revising item 2, the
Okay.
reference to the master bikeway plan, because there doesn't seem to be one, doesn't look like there's going to be one that we develop, but what we have is the transportation system plan, and that maybe we refine this and request that the council approve that it would be something like to develop recommendations for inclusion in the transportation system plan, including an assessment of the need for bikeways, et cetera, et cetera.
Can I ask you to email me the exact language that you want, or just email it to the committee for us to see, and
Of
then?
course, I'll send it to Debbie and.
Okay?
Okay, great. And then that way, Debbie can also help us if we all agree to move it to council for
You would
change.
probably, need to have a motion here at the committee
Okay.
to recommend that change.
How do we feel about that? Do we feel like the bikeways, our master bikeways plan is something that we're not involved in? I haven't ever heard
Yeah,
about
to the
it.
extent that anybody knows that such a thing exists anywhere.
Okay.
A while back, I sent you links because you all got those, right? So, and those went to the SCATS Bikeways plan, which is being updated now too, but it is regional rather than specific to Keizer.
Regional, okay. Didn't know that. All right, Michael, I heard, did you have something?
Yeah, well, so one of the things it says here is the powers and duties of the committee shall include, but are not limited to, and then 1 through 10. One of the things that I've asked for in the past, and I asked for again tonight, is about reviewing street projects early on as a committee to put input before the final budget and final plan has been committed, because that's the stage where we can actually have some leeway, and without, coming up the works for public works, or being told, well, we've already committed a certain number of dollars to that, so we can't change it.
Counselor Smith, can I ask a question?
You bet.
I'm thinking that we should probably have, I noticed this is something also in that we should be giving an annual report to the committee. And I know right now we keep monitoring the monthly meetings. Would you agree that it'd probably be best in that February, March pocket to bring that annual report to council? That way, if there are dollar items, that could move to the budget.
Yes, that's
Okay.
exactly what you want to do.
Okay, so I do think that that should be, we should be developing that over the next 6 months and have hopefully a finished product by December for the committee to approve and push to council. Okay? That work? I don't know how we're going to get there, but this is step one.
And just to be clear, my point is because Public Works, has projects all the time that they are planning on doing. But if we can provide input, maybe provide something that might, without busting the budget, do an improvement to pedestrian or bicyclist safety, I think that would be something that would be helpful to everyone.
That'd be at the very early stages when it's just being conceptualized.
Exactly,
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree with that,
When it's still pencil and paper.
yeah.
Forward thinking, I like that.
Yeah, and another thing, in the past, I've asked, at the time, Sergeant Leday, when we have an incident, whether it be an accident, a true accident, or a near miss, that's been registered, or even a place of speeding complaints, where we, if not as a whole group, because I don't know if that would be even legal, but one or two of us going with KPD out to that site and just kind of doing an after action or after accident, I suppose, review of the conditions, not pointing fingers, but just looking to see what might make the situation safer in the long run.
I would wait to be able to ask Sergeant Leday if he would be willing to give us a November report that would be kind of 11 months out of the year of just a high level, this many accidents in the city of Keizer. I wouldn't want to, I don't personally want to go look and see if things are dangerous. That's not my skill level, so.
Well, yeah, certainly, like if they have an annual report of, okay, these were where all the incidents were, maybe we'll even pick a random, if say where there were 10, we'll pick a random 2 or 3 and just visit that site, see, hear from KBD what happened, and then just look around and say, well, maybe there was a sun in the eyes of the driver, so is there something we could do about that? Or, what?
Well, I think that we could probably pull that data from him and just get their observations by if there was 300 accidents that happened in this year and 10 of them were on Chamawa and River Road, that I think could be called out as a corner to look at because it's been hit or there's been accidents 5 or 10 times. Mm-hmm. I really don't believe we should be going out and watching the traffic. That's actually their job.
Sure.
But I do think that we should put that in the pocket of asking Sergeant Leday if he'll put something together for us as of November.
Okay.
And then that way, when we're writing our annual sum up of our committee year and presenting that to council within 2 months after that, I think that would be a really good spot for it. Okay?
Jamie, this kind of opens up a bigger question for me ever since I've been on the committee is exactly our role versus the agencies that we interact with, whether it's Public Works or the police. What is our role compared to them? Because, this kind of stuff, Michael, is what I used to do when I was a district engineer. I only did it on really serious accidents. Mm-hmm. But we'd get the report right away and go out and look at, is the striping okay? Is there a site any of that kind of stuff. But Jamie, you're right too. That's also the role of Public Works or the police to do. So again, I keep having this question in my mind about where is our responsibility compared to those agents?
Well, I think our purpose is to hear the community and be able to log and say how many times things are happening as a growing concern so that council can address it.
So you're looking at trends more than a specific incident. I believe that the
police department and public works should probably be doing those details, because if they were to find something, they're skilled in it. That, if there was an accident report, can I ask you that question, Mike? If there was an accident report and something clearly came out, would something come to you to say to go look at that area for any incidents? Incidents of, as he said, light in their face?
No, however, if, like Mike said, there was something blocking or something was obstructing or something, clearly you're there and it's just like, well, I've never noticed that tree branch or never noticed, whatever the case may be, somehow it would be addressed and it would be gone, it would somehow end up to us, but that would be through the police department, or it would be known at some point, and I would assume, well, not assume, that it would be corrected, so.
I
But it
think
would not come directly
to you.
to me in a police report that says, I mean, I get reports for graffiti and different things like that, but not,
So Rick, I think that our answer is in the data, and that if we are seeing something that has totals through November and an area is spotted that has been identified 5 or 6 times more, then we can at least prioritize. That can be part of our prioritization. Because right now, I don't have every association, neighborhood association in here giving us what's going on with their areas. And I grow concerned that the person that speaks the most is going to get their stuff taken care of. And I think the city has the obligation to look at the city as a whole and not just in one area. And I don't know at this time how you prioritize that. And that's probably something I thought a lot about my first year. And I think Michael, when he was chair, he was met with a lot of where's the prioritization in this? And so I'm still charting this course right now. And we've had 3 meetings with me in this chair, and I still feel like we're not there yet. Go ahead, Councilor.
Can I chime in on this?
Yes.
So from my experience, one is that there is the data that from the accidents and things you can get, and we used to get that report. We haven't gotten that report. Those don't come out like they used to. But for example, in talking with former police officers, it feels like you guys are actually the missing piece that we need between this incident occurring and, the police take care of it. They do deal with, like, is there a crime, and all the insurance, all those things, making sure people are okay. You have public works, is there an immediate thing that they see? But I don't think they really get that piece. But I have heard from, former Officer Coons, that, like, for example, the intersection down at Weimar, that is a horrible intersection. And he's pointed it out to me 3 times that the crosswalk is on the wrong side. He said it needs to be on this side, because if you're turning this way, you've got a blind spot. And he has said multiple pedestrians have been hit in that crosswalk. There was a little boy that was almost killed. So that's really important that gets to the council so we can make direction to change that. But it doesn't seem like the left hand's talking to the right hand. So you guys are kind of that bridge in between to say, hey, by the way, we see that this pattern's occurred all these different times. The other thing he brought up to me was the fact that when you're coming down River Road and you turn left by the Wittenberg, and they all can quote all the streets, I'm like, maybe later, but not right now. When you turn left, if you're in that lane and traffic's going, you have a green light to turn left, and it happens down here by, with Chemawa, I think it is. And the same thing happens, it's the next one down, Dearborn. If you're turning left coming south and you hit someone's crosswalk right here and they hit the button, it gives them the go while the lights are green this way, even though at the time it was red. So it'll change in the middle of it. And he said because he took that back route to come to the city, and he said, Elizabeth, you need to take that to traffic bike and ped. Those kind of things, I think actually having a conversation with some of the officers about what they have seen, where their accidents are, where there's problems. I know we've had a lot of pedestrians kind of hit, trying to running across by US Bank, across the road there, because the crosswalks are too far. Now, are we gonna go and put a giant island? Probably not, but what could we do? Is it as easy as moving a side or, crosswalk down here? What would that look like? Then we could ask, you guys could bring it to us, give us that report that there's been 15 accidents in the same location. And then we could direct Public Works to do the study to determine what the cost would be to reallocate on something like that. Does that make sense?
It does, and I think I can answer Rick's question more, is that we're here to build a case to help them understand what is priority.
Yeah.
Oh, that brings up another question on my mind. What's the communication link between the police department and Public Works? Now, in your case that you're talking about, did they not take that information?
I have never seen that come before us before. Like, I've never had any kind of reports on, to the council on that.
This is the closest that it probably
It is,
gets.
that's
Okay.
like, literally, yeah, you guys will hear from people, but if you don't bring it to us, we don't know. But the key word you keep kind of nailing on, and I appreciate it very much, is data. Show me that there's a problem, show me the numbers, show me that, because then I can justifiably allocate funds to correct that, because it's a problem. But I don't think that there's like this, hey, by the way, I'm not seeing that, I'm not hearing that. I mean, we all get the same report, and at the end of the week, we get a report from the city manager, and goes through all these things. But, I mean, that's something that we could actually loop him in on, and Mr. Brown can start to figure out ways to communicate that data back to you, the things that are going to be important. And I would definitely encourage you to speak with him. And did you want to say anything on this? Is it okay if he says something?
I would love, yeah.
Just, he's got so much experience and kind of what he's doing, because he's been doing a really good job of getting us information and helping out with this, so.
Make sure your mic is on. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we can definitely provide data, and we've even got the GIS system, Geographic Information System,
Okay.
that we can map it also and show you where those trends are. So, and I expect that the communication I sent to the council we're working towards posting that on the city's webpage and Facebook channels at some point in the near future. So hopefully everybody will be informed on a lot of different issues. So.
City Manager Brown, thank you for coming up and chat and coming to our meeting. Haven't seen.
It's great to see you in person.
Yeah, I know, huh? But I think that we are moving in a good direction for this committee, and I think you guys are moving as fast as my brain is moving right now. So I think government takes a little bit longer. Now I believe we've identified where our purpose is, and now it's time for us to prioritize so that we can give a clear report to council to be able to make movement on it. And I would definitely welcome a meeting aside from these regular meetings to maybe put our ideas down, gather all of the information we have, because I know, Stephen, you have a plethora of data in this folder here, and I know I have several documents that I've written down the areas, and we also, Michael, tied it into the TSP. So I definitely think we're on the right, and we just need to pick up those nuggets of information and put it in a nice, neat report to deliver to them. Okay, then we're on our next steps. All right, let's keep moving forward. Thank you so much, City Manager Brown. Committee member input, neighborhood association reports. So this area is to just kind of, if you're going to a neighborhood association and want to comment on that, or if you had any other items that you wanted to bring to the committee to discuss, now would be the time. And I'm gonna go ahead and start this way, Tammy. I know you're very new, so if you don't have anything, that's okay.
No, but we just formed the Northeast one, so we had our
That's
first
right.
meeting yesterday.
Oh,
So
you
it was
did.
a nice kickoff, and we hope to do great things.
Forgot that was starting this week.
It was at the Northeast and the Northwest.
I think I'm Northeast.
Yeah, it should be Northeast.
Well, no, because because
North
Northeast has not met yet.
No, you're right, I'm Northwest.
Okay, that's
I'm
what I
sorry.
thought. Thank you.
Thank you for correcting me.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, that would be left.
It is? Okay.
Because I think then the north is around here.
I thought this was, okay.
Yeah.
Stephen, do you have anything to report?
Nothing to report. I do strongly recommend that the committee do something about the weather to make it more bike and pedestrian friendly. beyond that, no.
Michael?
I just need my Tuesdays free so I can go to a GUBSR meeting. So, no, I have nothing to.
Oops, okay. Nothing, and then Rick?
Last time I mentioned maybe doing a presentation about the bike trail along the historic Columbia River Highway, and I've talked with Jeanette Close, who's president of the advocacy group that's been supporting that for years and years, and she's gotten me some good information. I need to know, and we probably could do it next time.
Yeah.
What time frame within the agenda, like 15 minutes? Would that be out of the question?
I don't
Something
think
like
that's
that?
out of the question at all. We
Okay.
can lighten the agenda a bit and then put them in, maybe take off that chair report.
Okay. It's not pertinent to our mission exactly, but it's all about bikes and really a cool thing.
And any education we can get out, I think that's great.
Yeah. And in that regard, their annual bike ride is June 18th, so that's, I guess we would meet right before that, but
That's 2
if
days
any,
prior,
if
yeah.
anybody is interested in that, that's kind of a big deal. They have like 300 to 400 people every year. They had to cancel it one year during the pandemic, but it's on again now. It goes from the Discovery Center in the Dalles up to the Hatfield Wayside, just east of Hood River, about 20 miles one way, and it goes up through the twin tunnels at Mosher. And so it's a really cool bike ride.
Oh,
That's June 18th, if anybody's interested. And you can get information on their website about, it's the Friends of the Historic Columbia River Highway is the website.
awesome. Jim?
Historic Columbia River?
Friends of the Historic Columbia River Highway, yeah.
Rick, if you want to just, is it okay if you'll just send an email of a confirmation at least a week and a half before our meeting? Because that's when we're locking down, maybe even 2 weeks before our agenda.
You mean to Debbie for the agenda? Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Mhm. Thank you. Michael, you had something?
I
to say?
actually, yeah, I did realize, I did have a few things to say for just input. Two things, well, three. One, at the Bike Skills Fair, I saw for the first time the police have an e-bike, so I thought that was pretty cool. And the other thing was PBOT just put out their pedestrian design guide. And I thought there's a lot of good stuff in it, so I recommend you take a look at it. But one of the things I really did like was that there's, most street hierarchies, you'll have residential, collector, arterial, and theirs is much finer grained and more context focused and pedestrian focused. So I wouldn't mind seeing something like that. That would be a planning commission code thing to change how we do the street hierarchy, but I thought that'd be something to look at.
Okay.
The other thing was DLCD is working on their climate and equitable communities, I think it's called, rules. And I listened into a little bit today, and one of the things was that ODOT staff was there, and they said that they have no problem with cities using NACTO standards, and that includes even on ODOT facilities. So that too could be something that the city can start could start incorporating into their designs when they're
Using
redoing
what standards?
NACTO, the North American or National Association of City Transportation Officials versus the AASHTO, which is the American
Right, that's
Association.
what I'm familiar with.
Yeah, so the thing about the AASHTO is it tends to be more highway focused versus NACTO is from city transportation officials, so it's more of that context. And that's it.
Okay. I guess, that would leave me. And I just have 3 things to bring up. Number 1, Debbie, can I request a full list of who you have as the people going to or monitoring the council and planning commission on June 16th, or for June 8th and 6th? Says Dave Dempster is not,
Yes, so we'll need a volunteer.
Yeah, we got that.
Normally, let's see what I got here.
Rick said he'll go ahead and do it this time, but I think what I'd
Okay.
like to do is maybe see who you have on each month.
It is, you have it. You have your, it's on your roster. Report to council, attend planning commission meeting.
Right,
You want me
I-
to send you a new roster?
It's not the,
Not the one on the website, it's the one that I emailed to you. It's this one right here. Looks like this. See this column
I
over here?
remember, okay,
Okay.
I have it.
Uh-huh.
I will get back to it, don't send it again, sorry.
That's okay.
And then the second thing I had is I need to be excused from next month's meeting. I have this cool thing called vacation. So I was gonna ask if, Michael, you'll chair? Okay, thank you. Do I have to pick your replacement?
No,
No?
no.
Okay,
We just, the only time you, if Mike was to resign, we would vote for a new vice chair.
vice chair, okay,
Oh,
but nobody
so-
needs to be in vice chair for next meeting?
No, no.
Okay.
So you asked for the, so Rick said he would go to the council meeting? Or-
He's gonna review both agendas.
Both of them?
Uh-huh,
Okay.
and see if there's anything he
Okay.
picks out
Okay.
that might need another eye from the committee on. And if so, you can either watch the video or attend the meeting. You don't necessarily need to talk or anything like that unless you want to. But at least it gives us an idea of what you might need to bring back to us of what they're talking about.
Is that for reporting to council too?
Yeah, you're gonna look at both agendas. Is that okay? Okay, he'll do both agendas.
Okay.
And I think that was number 3. So that's my report. I'm going to turn it over to number 9, staff report from Mike Griffin.
Thank you very much. Just a couple of items. Hicks is our local contractor that does our pavement markings around town, and they just putting a handful of reflective pavement markers down. Last year, it's the same company that did this on River Road. So on the skip lines and all the turn lanes and up and down, so at nighttime it looks beautiful. It's just lit up. So it was a 2-night job, and they just finished a couple nights ago. So they got Cherry Avenue, and they got a stretch of Lock Haven from River Road to the west to Windsor Island Road. They completed all of Shamawa from Windsor Island Road, and then head east to all the way to where it ties into, I'll say, to Lock Haven there. And they did the roundabout Verda from the roundabout to the Parkway. And they might have done one more, and Keizer Station Boulevard along with Eulalie. So, kind of
Mike-
cool. So if you're
Mike,
driving at
that-
nighttime, yo.
That brings up a question I just popped in my mind about 3 days ago. You know, it used to be that they put down blue reflectors to mark fire hydrants. But I would suppose now that's all in their computer system. Do they even do that anymore?
So we did that years ago, and if you drive
Yeah.
around town, you'll still see certain hydrants in certain places around. They've disappeared, and I'm not sure the reason behind that, and beyond my scope of why, or it's just not, I don't know. I can't answer the question. I'll look into it, but I know it was done. It's just it's
But
no longer
I would
done.
assume the
so.
hydrant locations are all in their GIS system now, and they wouldn't need
Yeah,
that.
but it's disappeared, prior to that. I remember we don't get much snow, but you'd be in the backhoe and you'd be scraping the street, and then pop, there goes one.
Right.
But no, I'll look into that, and I'm curious. It might have just been something that the fire department decided they didn't need anymore, and we quit doing that, so.
What's your percentage of the reflective lights being done, completed?
That pretty much completes all our major and minor arterials, so, and we
That's
don't put them in, in residential, so.
Just to know, on next door, probably about a year ago, when we were having the rains just like now, there was some complaints. So I hope citizens are happy that those reflective lights have been put down.
Yeah, we've been getting lots of, and the county does our striping, and they do a great job, and we've been having them hit the streets a couple of times just to help with the reflectivity, but then now with the added pavement markers.
Much better.
Yeah,
Awesome.
kind of cool. And other than that, our storm crew is going to be starting our annual catch basin inspection pretty soon, and this data tells us what catch basins are the dirtiest and full of the most grime, and then we go out and clean those catch basins, preparing for next year's rain. However, this year's rain still, and I'm waiting for this year's rain to stop to go inspect those catch basins for next year. So that's all I got.
Awesome, thank you. So we'll skip 10, which is the police liaison report, and if Counselor Smith for the council liaison report.
Sure. So on Monday, the majority of the time was spent talking about the library and the ARPA funds and funding that. And I think, there's no question the entire council wants to help the library and convert it over to being a public library. But we did make the decision to put it out to the ballot and make sure the voters had a say in that. So we're going to need, once it goes on there, the city doesn't actually have the authority to represent the city, but the councilors can help promote it, but they can't actually take a position on it as a city. So it's kind of similar to when we did the charter, which, basically it's the same process. We're going to really need help, though. I know the library's going to need help selling it. And that was my big thing with that, is that to really come up with a plan, the data, sorry, can you tell I'm a data nerd? I keep saying that over and over. But it's there for people to really want to, have that pride of something like that. And that was my point, is that we got to have that public buy-in, and that public buy-in is going to take different sales techniques for different personality styles. And, some people were really excited about the fact that it would bring tax dollars back to Keizer. All right, that sold me. But other people are like, hey, it means that my kids can get there easier. So I just, that's going to be a lot of all hands on deck, because we've got a very short period of time and a lot of people to reach, and a lot of different angles to sell that on. So if you have the opportunity to help with that, it would be great. The library's already made that decision they put some great stuff on social media asking for support. So we definitely want to give that to them. And that was the big thing. Prior to that, I actually was out for budget. I was in Cabo, so I got to watch budget on TV, but I didn't actually get to participate. So other than that, I think, Mr. Brown, is there anything else that is important to bring up?
I was just going to add about the fire hydrant issue. My experience with my last fire department was that they are in their CAD system, which is in the vehicles, and then they also they're on an app that every one of them can pull up on their phone. So, and then also sometimes they sprinkle glass on the top after they paint it so that the top of it's more reflective.
All right, that's pretty much all I have at the moment.
Well, just like you, I'm an accountant, so by day, so data and organization are my two things, so.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I'm a branch manager of a mortgage company, so I just deal with money all day long. So yeah, I'm like, oh, wait a minute here. You got to have a real clear budget. But
Well, thank you so much for
Thank you
coming
so
and
much.
giving us that update. And I do hope that if there is anything that we can do to help to get the word out about the public library, please let us know.
I will definitely, I'll email you out as I get information. I'll just share it onto the main email.
Okay.
So everybody's that way.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, if there's nothing else, I'll go ahead and call it. All right, let's call it adjourned.